Okay guys, before I get into this video, I just want to talk about the fact that today is my birthday. My birthday. I am 37 years old today, the 22nd of December. So I expect you all to like this video, say happy birthday in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed. I deserve at least that on my birthday. Now, moving on to the topic of today's video, we're going to be talking about an awesome Death Guard character. As you know, Death Guard are one of the most extensive ranges of Chaos miniatures that exists from Games Workshop, and Death Guard are by far my favorite. I love them to death. I'm going to be painting up an army for them over the course of the next couple of weeks/months for the 500 World campaign that Games Workshop is releasing, taking back to 500 Worlds, Ultramar, all that kind of cool stuff, and I'm going through the motions of painting up some of those models. Now, this is Sergeant Sassy Pants. He is a Nurgling that came with a different character. That character isn't particularly interesting. I think of all the Death Guard miniatures, he's probably the weakest sculpt of them all, in my humble opinion. So in order to kind of boost sales, they gave him the coolest Nurgling. I thoroughly believe that 95% of people purchased that miniature solely for this adorable little guy. I couldn't waste him on a baseball or on a model as a little scenery piece, so I put him on some extra cork, gave him some height, and I made him a character all to himself. He actually leads a full squad of Death Guard for me in my army. And the funny story that I have going is, he is standing in quite a heroic pose. I'm sure he barks out orders. The rest of the squad know that he's not really in charge, but they find him so adorable himself that they just go along with his rules and his orders and have a little giggle and a chuckle, and he thinks he's the big man. So absolutely love him. I love his little story, and I'm going to paint him up very quickly in today's video and show you how awesome he is. Please do let me know what you think of Sergeant Sassy Pants in the comments below. And yeah, I love you all. This is probably the last video you'll see before Christmas. Maybe I might be able to squeeze out another one. I don't know. If I do, you'll be lucky. If not, have a great Christmas, guys. I love you all, and I will see you very early in the new year. Okay, this is Mr. Sassy Pants himself. I have previously, when I originally built him a couple of years ago, I did a little bit of airbrush work on him to kind of start him off. I'm going kind of a different direction now with my Death Guard, so I'm just going to use this as the base coat that's on it, and I'm just going to paint it up from here. As you can see, he is a glorious little Nurgling, and most characters, most Death Guard characters come with a fun little enjoyable Nurgling that just adds a lot of character and a lot of fun to them. The last couple of models actually haven't had them, which is a bit disappointing, but all the older ones kind of do, and I'm very grateful for that. Obviously, we've thrown a skin tone over his skin, charred bone over the horns on his little Death Guard helmet. Where he got the Death Guard helmet from, I don't know. Was it gifted to him by his glorious squad, by his liege lord, or did he steal it from a dead Death Guard on the battlefield, or not even on the battlefield, maybe just snuck into someone's quarters and stole their helmet and started wearing it around like the boss that he is, and they just didn't have the heart to take it off him. So whatever way you want to tell the story, that's how it is for you. But yeah, I truly do love the model, and I love the character little story about having him leading a squad of Death Guard around. So far, I've got 4 full squads of Death Guard Marines in my army, and there's no duplicate miniatures. They're all different sculpts, and that's just something I think is incredible about Death Guard, even if I did have to cheat a little bit with little characters like this to fill in some gaps. So obviously, I'm taking a little bit of time and really making that skin look kind of red and rosy and sore. I just really enjoy it. I'm really enjoying painting this guy up and putting as much kind of effort as I can into him, with his rosy skin, like it's inflamed and full of infection and grossness, which of course every Death Guard miniature would indeed have. Now, I was going to power through painting this entire thing in one go, but I realized I did miss just a couple of quick messages that I wanted to kind of get through to you guys. And since that is one of the last videos of the year, please do bear with me for another kind of minute or two while I explain a few other bits and pieces that are going on in 2026. I'm going to briefly interrupt this video one more time because I just have a couple more points that I want to talk about, which I think are super important, which is, of course, a big thank you to everyone out there that supported us through 2025. You guys are absolutely incredible, especially all the people over there on Patreon. Without you guys, we literally couldn't do this. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. If you've been on the fence about jumping on and joining our Patreon, I'm going to list some of the cool reasons to get involved. First of all, you get access to a private Discord server where you can hang out with all of us on a daily basis and talk about your hobby, getting involved with all the different events that we host over there, whether it be painting competitions, community showcases, or any other like community hangouts. There's a whole bunch of awesome reasons. We also do monthly giveaways on the channel. We gave away a Night Tide, we gave away a Dark Elder Army, and this month, December, we are giving away an airbrush and compressor kit all wrapped up into one. So if you're interested in getting involved in airbrushing but haven't taken the plunge, maybe you'll win this bad boy here. And we also do extra videos every single week. Plus, me and Laura also do a podcast, which is only ever released on Patreon as well. So if you want to check out those, they're awesome. They're below. Also, in January, we are splitting up the channel just a little bit because obviously some videos, they don't get as many views as others, which unfortunately affects everything. It's a whole algorithm thing. I won't go into it, but just so you know, I love my old world content and I love my Middle Earth content, but putting out videos for those two things is actually damaging the rest of the channel because they just don't get enough views. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut those out and put them onto their own channel. So we're gonna be running 3 channels in the new year, which is Middle Earth Monday. So every single Monday, we are going to be putting out a video on that channel. So it is literally called Middle Earth Monday. We will leave links below. So if you love anything Lord of the Rings or Hobbit or any of that kind of content, you want to see the journey of the ring bearer, which is what we're going to be running through on the channel, please do go down below. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. And obviously, Old World Wednesdays. If you love Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer the Old World, and want to see the content I do for those, a video will be posted every single Wednesday on that channel. Old World Wednesday is what the name of the channel is. Like I said, I will link it below. Please, if you guys have 5 minutes spare, 5 seconds spare, can you go down and subscribe to those 2 channels so we can get a nice little bump to get us going? That would be amazing. Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting you guys once again, but you're all awesome and sometimes some things need to be said. I'm gonna finish off painting this awesome little character and then, yeah, enjoy the rest of your Christmas, guys. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, but as you saw, the messages in there are quite important. A couple of new channels and some of the important stuff about the Patreon. So you all guys are awesome for sticking around for that and then following through for the rest of Sergeant. I used to call him Captain Sassy Pants, but he's not a captain. He's a sergeant. He's leading around a squad of Marines. So he is going to be Sergeant Sassy Pants from now on. And yeah, love it. So we're going to go in with a traditional Death Guard armor scheme that I am doing for my Death Guard, which means he will blend in beautifully, which is the Death Guard armor for the layer. And then we actually jump up to Nurgling green for the kind of last layer on the armor. And what this does is it actually does create a very kind of pallid green color for the armor, which is not what I want. That's not the look that I'm going for. I much prefer the more toxic green look that you get with some Death Guard paint jobs. And the best way that I personally have found for achieving this is after you've done the layering and ended up with your pale Death Guard armor color, all I do is grab a yellow glaze paint. I still have some of the Games Workshop yellow glaze paint that I'm working through, but I have tested out the 2 thin coat yellow glaze and it is a perfect copy and match for this color. So if you want to follow along with this nasty green armor, you can get yourself some 2 thin coats yellow glaze. And as you can see, as I painted over that really pale green, it does turn into that toxic green color and looks really, really cool. Like I said, I've done this on, I think, about 1,000 points of Death Guard so far. And it's a very striking looking force on the table. I'm very much enjoying it. Skeleton Bone and Bleached Bone from Army Painter. It's just a couple of colors I've been using for painting bone lately that I really enjoy. I'm not even sure if they're still available. They've kind of chopped and changed their paint range right now. I'm getting my hands on their Fanatic range right now and enjoying that. So I'm sure I should probably look for alternates, but you know, when you're kind of comfortable with a triad of colors for doing specific things, you like sticking with it. So I'm kind of just sticking with it here. I painted the horns and actually did the maggot coming out of his stomach the same color. And then when I got to like the final highlight of like the boils on his skin, you know, I did that yellow kind of ink around that. I just did a touch of white on the top of them as well. Nilic Oxide was then painted as like the cracks and crevices and recesses of the helmet, just to add a little bit more of that kind of aged patina and decay, which of course should be prevalent on all parts of this awesome little model. He's nearly there. We just got to add a few chips and dings to the model. So anywhere where the armor is particularly cracked, I keep saying armor, it's just a little helmet. Crack, we're just going to add a little bit of silver around it. Maybe that's the thing that killed the previous owner of this helmet, the nasty kind of gunshot wound in the mouth of it. I based him up to match the rest of my Death Guard. And yeah, we now have ourselves a Sergeant Sassy Pants. Even look at his sassy little butt. I'm going to show you a couple of still images of this guy now on what he's going to look like on the tabletop. And I've even taken a few pictures of him with the first other 5 members of his squad. There's another 4 models to paint. It's a full 10-man squad. But here's what he looks like sat in the middle of 5 of the Marines, being the little boss and telling them what to do. And I think he fits in beautifully, and as a little force, it looks absolutely incredible. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this immensely. If you did, show support, like, comment, subscribe, all that other good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next video.